Hi, good morning. My back is 100% better, but it's still not 100%. So I want to take it easy, but let's continue and build on the previous classes. So let's do some warm up with some pelvic tilts. The wide knee, the closed knee, and the frog one. Let's do for the neck, the chin tucks. Let's use the foam roller if you have it for opening up the chest, and then some side bending, and let's finish with some bridges. I think that's good enough for today. So let's have you lie down, face up. Let's have the feet wide apart, wider than hip width apart. Close your knees together. Sit bones are down evenly, heels pressed in, ball of the feet pressed in. All of your toes are pressed into the mat. Shoulders are down and even, nose pointing upwards. Hands are either by your side pressed into the mat, or I like to keep them on this bony protrusion, which is called the ASIS. And again, here upper body is not doing anything. The movement, the legs are not doing anything, only the hips, the pelvis is the one that's doing the movement. So starting out with a neutral tilt, squishing that blueberry into the mat, coming into a posterior tilt, coming back to neutral, create that little space. And let's go into an anterior tilt. Create a mouse house. Remember to keep your ribs down. Only the pelvis is doing the movement. Neutral tilt. Squish that blueberry. Or squish the mouse. Come back to neutral. And then anterior tilt. Let's do two more. Big anterior tilt, big mouse house. Back to neutral. Squish that blueberry. Neutral. Big mouse house. Back to neutral. Squish that blueberry. Neutral, and anterior tilt. Next, knees turn wide apart. Feet are larger than hip width apart. Feet pointed out, heels pressed down, ball of the feet pressed down, toes are pressed down. And let's do 4 pelvic tilts in this wide knee position. Your knees pointing out. Big mouse house, neutral. Squish that blueberry. Neutral. Back to big mouse house. You can also, if you feel a stretch in your low back with this, you can also hang out here. And then just take deep breaths into your belly. Back to neutral. Posterior tilt. Neutral tilt. Anterior tilt. Neutral. And posterior. Back to neutral. And finish with anterior tilt. Next one is the frog pelvic tilt. I struggled with this for so long. Press your heels together, ball of the feet together, press your toes together. Knees are wide open. And start in a neutral tilt. Ribs are down, shoulders are open, nose pointing upward. And let's go into a posterior tilt. Feel that each of your vertebrae are touching the mat. Come back into a little of space under your low back, and then create a much bigger space, a mouse house, as you're tilting your pelvis forward. Back to neutral. Squish that blueberry. It's so hard to squish the blueberry in this position, especially in the last segment, in your L5-S1 area, which is where your spine meets your SI joint, your sacrum, where your spine meets your pelvis. Neutral. You can also play here side to side. So you just feel a deep stretch in my front of my hip joint. Back to neutral, back to posterior tilt. Okay. You can have our knees wide apart, or you can bring them back to pointing up. I'm gonna keep mine open, and I'm just gonna start with the chin tucks, just to warm up my cervical spine, my neck. So starting from the nose pointing upwards, the chest open, butt down evenly, heels and balls of feet and toes pressed together. Just sliding my nose down to my chest bone, my breastbone, and then bringing it back up. Shoulders stay wide open. Slide it down. Feel the stretch in your neck. And sliding it back up. Let's do 3 more. So 5 together. Slide it down. Don't let your head come up. And slide it back up. Slide it down. And back up. And last one down. And back up. Next, let's do a chest opener. So I want to do this on the foam roller, but if you don't have a foam roller, we're just gonna do what we done in the previous classes. Slide your arms up and down a couple of times. Lie down on the foam roller lengthwise. You're going to put your butt on the foam roller and your head, nose pointing upwards, heels pressed into the mat, ball of the feet and toes are pressed into the mat. And I like to keep a neutral tilt, meaning that some space in under between my low back and the foam roller. But if you have any pain, then you can also press your vertebrae into the foam roller, so with that you create a gentle stretch in the low back area. So whichever feels comfortable, but ideally I like to train my muscles in a neutral tilt, because that is what the spine resembles when you are standing up. So this is a neutral tilt, this is a posterior tilt, and that would be a big mouse house, that would be an anterior tilt. You can also do pelvic tilts on the foam roller just to mobilize your spine more, or actually get more feedback as you do the movement, because you know which segment you're actually skipping. So this could be actually an exercise on its own. But let's continue with the chest stretch, so arms up to the side. And the goal here too is to keep your arms down on the floor. So keep the range of motion as big as while you can keep your arms on the floor. So don't let them to come up. If you have any pain or limitations, then don't force the movement. Let pain and stiffness be your guide. And over time, the tissue will soften and allow you to have a much bigger, much wider range of motion. And as you're sliding your palm up, and if you notice that your spine wants to lift up, then that's where you stop, because then you're going into the compensatory pattern, and you don't want that to happen. You want to focus on the quality of the movement, not quantity. And there's just you, so there's no one to impress here. The spine is down evenly, nose pointing up. And you're sliding your hands up. Big inhale. Sliding it back down, long exhale. One more, palm facing up. And palm still up, exhale. Let's do two more with your palm facing, starting out palm facing down. Come to 90-degree angle, palm turns up, slide it all the way up. At 90, turn the palm down and slide down. One more, palm down, come to 90, palm turns up. Exhale, palms up. At 90, turn the palm down, and let's finish the chest stretch. Okay. Next is, let's do some side bending with the foam roller. Or if you don't have the foam roller, you can just keep your arm down, and this is the movement what we are going to do. You can just slide your hand out on the mat without the foam roller. So let's sit up in a cross-legged pose, hands on your knees, mobilize your spine forward and back a couple times. And then let's have your left palm on the center of the foam roller. Sit evenly on your sit bones. You can move the flesh out of the way if you have a large muscle there or some amount of fat. So hand on the foam roller. Your right palm is facing up. You sitting upright. And you're going to lift your right arm up, and you're going to side bend into this foam roller while keeping your right butt down. Don't let your right butt rise up, and just side bend into this foam roller. And then come back up. Lift your right palm, side bend. Imagine that you are between two planes of glass. So as you're side bending, don't let your spine roll forward. That's what usually how it happens. Or don't let your spine curl backwards. Try to be between very narrow space between two planes of glass. So we're really stretching the side. Keep your right butt cheek down. It feels like a very good stretch. Lift up, side bend. You can also stay in this stretch and just breathe in there. Breathe into your right lung, into your right belly. One more. Good. Let's do the other side. Switch legs. Move the butt out of the way. Sit on the sit bones. Hand is in the center of the foam roller. Palm down. Left palm turns up. Then let's side bend into the left side. The one side is usually a lot tighter. That's usually the case for everyone. So if you feel that one side of yours is more stiff, you can do more stretches there, so more reps, or stay in that stretch longer with breathing into it. But in my experience, for example, my right side is just always tighter because I'm right-handed, and honestly, no amount of stretching I was able to make my two sides even. So just trying my best, and I know that that's the case for me. Remember to keep your left butt down, and remember to stay between two planes of glass. And one more. Okay, and then let's finish with some bridging. If you're up for a challenge, if you're not in pain, you can do the bridges on the foam roller. So you would lie down, face up, butt down evenly, shoulders are down evenly. If you do it on the foam roller, press your hands into the mat, press your head into the mat, press your shoulder blades into the mat. Melt your feet on the foam roller, and you're going to, don't lift up, but we're doing the same thing what we've been doing with the pelvic tilts. You're going to curl your spine up and rise up into a bridge. And then take your time lowering down. Another variation here is you're keeping your heels on the foam roller, not the arches. Keep your foam roller in space hold, hands pressed in, shoulders are open, head pressed in, and curl up into a bridge and lower down. So these are the more advanced variations, but I'm gonna keep it down on the mat because my right low back is still not 100%. Let's do parallel, 4 wide, 4 knee closed, and 4 frog ones. So the first one, heels pressed in, ball of the feet pressed in, toes are pressed down, shoulders down, head pressed in. And I'm going to start right with the pelvic tilt, curl into a posterior tilt, sit bones going closer to the knee, butt going closer to the knee, and I'm curling up, coming up as high as I can. And take the time rolling down. Keeping the butt close to the knee. That's the one that you release the last. So keeping the tension on the hamstrings all the way through. Coming into an anterior tilt, a mouse house. Neutral tilt, squish the blueberry, curl your spine up. Chest is open. Don't let your shoulders roll forward as you come up. And then take your time lowering down. Keep the tension on your hamstrings. These are your hamstrings, these are your quads. The back of your legs are the hamstrings. The front of your legs are the quads. Your inner thighs are your adductors, adductor. And your outer hip muscles, your abductors. And of course I lost the count, but I think this was 3. So one more. The hamstrings release last. So here the hamstrings engage first, sliding your sit bones towards your knees. Curl up. And then roll down. I think this was 4. Next one, wide knee. Knees pointing out, heel pressed in, ball of the feet pressed in, toes are pressed in. Arms by your side, palm pressed down, chest open, head is pressed in. Curl back, posterior tilt, sit bones glide towards the knee. Curl up as high as you can. I feel a lot of this in my butt. And lower down. Keep the tension in your hamstrings. And take your time arriving down, so each vertebrae, each bone touches down. Coming into, I'm moving my hand so you can see it. An anterior tilt, pelvis tilts forward, and then curl back. Neutral, posterior tilt, curl up. This is 2. Roll down. Keep the tension in the hamstring as you're landing down. L4, L5, S1. You have 5 lumbar vertebrae, and then your pelvis starts. This is 3. You have 7 neck or cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic or rib vertebrae, and 5 low back or lumbar vertebrae. The way to remember this is you have breakfast at 7 a.m., you have lunch at 12 o'clock, and dinner at 5 o'clock. So 7, 12, and 5. This is 4, right? Last one, heels together, ball of the feet together, toes are together. Try to ensure that your big toe, your second toe, your third toe, your fourth toe, and fifth toe are touching. Spine is in neutral, a little space, butt down evenly, shoulders are open, nose pointing up, curl up into a posterior tilt, and rise up into a bridge. Keep the tension in your hamstring and take your time lowering down. Tilt your pelvis forward, back to neutral, posterior tilt, curl up. Three, neutral, posterior tilt, squish that blueberry, curl up. And as you do these 4 variations, the parallel, the wide knee, the closed knee, and the frog one, you feel them in your different part of your legs. and your butt. So it is just strengthening different muscles and different muscle fibers with these variations. And last one. Okay. And let's just finish with a double knee stretch. So close your knees and then pull your knees into your chest. And if you want, you can have your spine, your butt curl up a little bit. But if you have pain or this is hard for you, then you can just keep your spine straight without lifting and then just pulling your knees into your chest. So there's two different variations to this as well. With this, it's harder, and if you have pain, I don't recommend this. Keep your spine down, keep your pelvis down, and pull just the knees into your chest. You can have it wide or closed. Let's just do 3 deep breaths here. Let's do 3 deep breaths into the chest, and let's do 3 deep breaths into the belly. And 3 into the belly. What I like to visualize with these breathing is that I have a big balloon in my belly. As I'm taking a deep breath in, that balloon is, expanding. As I'm exhaling, the balloon is deflating. So inflate your balloon as you inhale and deflate it as you exhale. And that was 3. If you want an additional, you can straighten your legs, point your ankles forward and back, keep your spine down. And that's it. I'll see you soon. I hope this was good. Bye-bye.